Hi, I'm Danny Nightmare,
I'm Gory B Movie.
and we're horror addicts. And we're addicted to horror. Like, I watch a horror movie every day. I'm 0 days sober when it comes to horror. But I'm not gonna lie, some of them don't go down as good as the other ones do. Like,
Some of these movies gave me indigestion.
yeah,
But I want to just, because I try to be somebody who's on the side of horror movies. That's what my channel, Gory B Movie, is all about. I will say this was a great year, and we don't have nearly as many bad movies to talk about as we do the good movies we just talked about over on my channel. We've got a top 5 each and a lot of honorable mentions.
yeah. Overall, great year for horror. I want to thank you, Fairpoint Station. Ready for some bad movies.
Thank
That
you.
is awesome. I love how it's always 666 with that guy.
And
He's
whenever
so cool.
people send us super chats, it goes into the date night fund. And we use them to go see new movies. We're going to go see Megan next week.
It's always for more content on both of our channels, so we appreciate it. What you put in, we use to come back with on the channel. But yeah, there's not as many bad movies this year. Like, I have a list, and obviously we're going to talk about it. But overall, I loved most of the movies I saw last year, but some of them, especially right here at the end of the year, there was a few disappointing ones that I was cramming in there as the countdown was changing year.
I've got Brandon. We've got Fairpoint Station. Christian Orr. Nice to see you here. Ariel. What's up? Christian Orr. Gustavo. Yeah, a lot of people we saw in the last stream. If you did miss it, though, you can always go check out the replay over on Gory B Movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where we talked about good movies. So make sure you see that after this if you haven't seen it already.
And these Christmas sweaters were gifts from Mummy B Movie.
And mine really has a dear meaning to me. I've been wanting the sweater, and thank you so much for Mummy for getting it. It's my childhood, back in the days of MySpace. I had a MySpace page called the Wenatchee Snowman Massacre, because me and my little sister and some of my friends that were in my high school age, we go around, we wouldn't kick people's snowmans over. That's just kind of a dick thing to do. Like, oh, yeah, great. We would murder them. We would stab them with sticks. We'd put fake intestines, like sometimes like sausages and blood and ketchup and lightweight. So they wake up and see that their snowman was still there, standing, but murdered horribly.
All right, you ready to get into some bad movies?
Kind of got it from Calvin and Hobbes.
It's your channel, so
all right. Well,
you get to start.
I'm gonna start.
We're gonna do it a little more chaotic this time. So the first person who mentions a movie, even if it's on the other list, we'll just mention what number it is on the other list.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily like a countdown of specific order. It's just we're both bringing at least 5 movies. If she brings up one of mine,
it's like
first,
a big pile of crap. Like you can't really differentiate the crap from the other crap.
If she brings up one of mine first, or the other way around, we'll just pull out an honorable mention to talk about. So, I'm just gonna put it all in the same category, the same slot. The shitty, low budget, no budget Christmas movies that were so disappointing because they had so much promise in their premise. And they just were sacks of coal. Mostly I'm going to go with the one that I reviewed on my channel, Krampus the Return. Possibly.
Maybe?
If you could, I think it's because it's, I don't know. We'll see.
I'll fix it.
But I recently reviewed this movie. Well, technically Monsterface reviewed this movie on Horror Addicts. We've done a lot of bad Krampus movies on Horror Addicts. We had a big intervention for him. We were like, dude, you made that great movie. Then what happened? You just sold out and started making some real shit after that. Why, Krampus? Why? This is return to that shit form, like coal in your stocking. No budget movie. Like, why, when you have no budget, why do you want to make either a bad shark movie? Because even with movies that have huge budgets, right? They can't do shark movies very well. They have a hard
Jaws
time.
had a hard time.
Exactly.
It's the best shark movie.
Spielberg barely made a good shark movie. Like, it almost broke him to do it. Why, when you have no money, do
He
you want to
still
make a
has
shark
trauma about that movie.
And the same goes for these Krampus movies. Like, when you see these bad Krampus movies as a filmmaker, do you go, I can more or less do that? That doesn't mean you should. Like, unless you can make
Let's get back to making our no-budget movies zombie movies, because, you just need some decent makeup skills to make a good zombie movie.
Exactly. A no-budget movie, zombie makes sense, but...
No more sharks, no more Krampus movies unless you got the budget,
right?
okay?
So yeah, all of them. I'm talking about. I'm lumping them all in there. I watched them all
Oh, I'm
around
so
Christmas
cool.
time. It was the Nutcracker Massacre. It was Were Deer. It was the Killing Tree, and most of them had bad effects, bad acting, but also just they didn't lean into the fun part of their themes.
That's my biggest complaint with especially like the Killing Tree. Like it's such a fun concept. I'm fine with it being no budget, but lean into the fact that you've got a
Mm-hmm.
really funny concept here. Lean into it. Have fun with it. And a lot of these had a very serious tone to them,
Why?
and it just doesn't work. It
Like
doesn't work at all.
some of their tones were all over the place. The Killing Tree, like it sometimes it's a guy in this weird tree suit. It kind of reminds me of Corey Feldman for Gremlins because it's like he's wearing a tree and he's awkwardly walking around. Sometimes he's got like a kitchen knife in his hand for no reason. He never uses it, sadly. But when he's like most of the time, it's this big bad looking CGI tree that's way bigger. Doesn't look anything like the guy in the suit, and it kills people with these really bad tentacles that just pokes everybody to death. That's so boring. I didn't want that. I wanted the funny, awkward tree. He does kill a couple people really coolly, like with his ornaments. There are some good moments in there, but most of it is just like two different movies, and one of them that I don't like is just taking over the one I do like. And I feel really bad about it. Same thing with the Were Deer, where it's a cool concept. This girl gets bit by a reindeer and gets turned into a reindeer monster, but she kind of just kills everybody the same way, and it gets really old really quick. Like I think these would have been better as short films because I wouldn't have got tired of them by the time of the end. Like if you
My
gave
only
me,
problem with Were Deer, like it was kind of a funny concept, is when she kills people, she just kind of
Yeah.
paws at them delicately.
that's the same way she kills everybody, and it gets old real quick. Like there's a cold open that's pretty funny, and it's not even about the Were Deer. I think these hunters get killed by a real reindeer, and that's actually the best part of the movie. But then it takes itself too seriously later, and it's just repetitive, and it wasn't good. Like they maybe were afraid they were making a mess of her mask or something, or get blood on her sweater, and it'd like be a continuity problem. I don't know, but it was just handled too delicately when it should just be balls off, like balls to the wall fun.
I
And
got Pinhead 198 in the chat here too. They say the mean one was no budget trash as well. No budget trash that made it to cinemas.
yeah, that one is not on this list. I'm not gonna quite say that. But there was also the Nutcracker Massacre, which it was cool because he was a giant Nutcracker dude, and he does act well. He tears a dude's balls off with a Nutcracker. But once again, it's all this drama backstory that they all have. Like, why is there so serious? If somebody's cheating on somebody, and there's all this serious drama I don't need in these fun Christmas movies. They should just be silly.
I don't have a poster for Nutcracker Massacre.
It's fine.
But yeah, Nutcracker Massacre was the one of the worst just because it took itself so seriously.
It put me
So
to sleep.
again, I guess my advice for no budget filmmakers, I mean, we make no budget films. Have fun with your concepts. Have fun and
Mhm.
know your budget. Think about what you can do well with the resources that you have. If you have no access to make a cool animatronic shark or you don't have great CGI, don't do a shark movie. It's
Mhm.
going to look terrible. And it's not fun when it's, just terrible and boring. I mean,
Exactly. If they're being more silly or more creative, you don't have to have a big budget to have creative kills. You can have some fun kills even on a low budget. And I wouldn't tear you apart for not having the best effects. That's fine. I love bad practical more than I like even good CGI sometimes. But just have more fun with your movies and don't bore me with people who can't act all that well in dramatic situations that I don't want in the movie to begin with. I just
hey,
want
my
fun.
horror brother, the Night Watch Zone's here.
But yeah, Krampus, the Return, bad. Hey, how you doing, Night Watch? And yeah, that's just I'm putting them all together because I watched them all so quickly together.
You're so frustrated.
They ruined my holidays.
Oh,
Because
no.
look at these posters. These should be good movies that I love. I love low budget movies usually
You're
that are
so
cheesy.
passionate about it.
I love them. I love full moon movies. I love a lot of movies that are just silly and bad, but these weren't silly enough to justify how bad they
I
were.
mean, a lot of Nutcracker Massacre, you know that scene in Gremlins where she's having that really dramatic monologue? And it's funny, but it's dramatic. Where she's talking about how her father was killed going down that chimney. The difference is Phoebe Cates can act.
Yeah.
So it actually works really well and it's really funny. That was all of Nutcracker Massacre, is having people say the most ridiculous stuff, super serious, and unfortunately, they just didn't have the ability to deliver those kind of performances.
And those performances feel like just so much filler to make them full-length films. Like The Killing Tree, Krampus the Return, they have like these cheating side angles, like the stories that have no real payoff. They're not even there like, oh, you shouldn't be with that person. They're kind of a jerk and you should like become a stripper to make money even though you're super rich. That like these weird conversations that go nowhere, have no payoff. They were just in the movie.
Remember in Killing Tree where they're doing blindfolded tennis like in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I don't get
It's
it.
just random, guys. It's just random.
You never get to find out why they were doing that, and I don't know. That's my problem. Is they had too much focus on things I didn't want, and these should have been all of the fun movies that should have went from the beginning to the end.
You got Kevin the Collector here too.
How we doing, Kevin? But anyways, rant over. Some of these Christmas movies really let me down, sadly.
Apparently. Holy shit.
I just want fun chaos on my Christmas low-budget movies, but I didn't get a lot of fun. I got a little bit of fun and a lot of just drama.
Will say I didn't put any of them on my list just because they're low budget. So, I mean, for me, I think what makes a movie really bad is when I have high expectations and I'm let down. And a lot of these movies, I just kind of go into it expecting them to be terrible. And they fulfilled my expectations.
I've seen enough fun, no-budget movies, though, so I was let down. And that's why I'm putting them all in there. One of them I was like, has to be good. Christmas, Bloody Christmas, that was good.
That was good.
Violent Night was amazing. It's not really a horror movie, but some
not
of them,
no budget either.
No,
Big
that one
budget.
not. But Christmas, Bloody Christmas didn't have that.
That
big
is
of
a low budget.
That is pretty low budget. I think they did overall the best of the low budget Christmas movies. They were way above these ones.
All right. So like I said, I'm going with ones that actually disappointed me. So what the heck?
Now it's moved down there.
I don't know.
It's because
Hey, look, I fixed it.
there you go.
Hey.
There you go. Just scroll up and
Hey,
down.
check it out. Hey, check it out. Hey. So this one was really disappointing to me. It's my best friend's exorcism. The reason I was so disappointed is I'm a huge Grady Hendrix fan. He's a really funny horror author. He did Horror Story. He did this one. He's just done so many great. He did Final Girl Support Group. Love his books. And one of my absolute favorites is this one right here. My best friend's exorcism. This was a great story about, like the friends you have when you're a kid, and how eventually a lot of times for us, that best friend you had in grade school, you kind of grow apart. And this one, they have a horror supernatural reason for that. Her best friend is possessed and nobody believes her. They're like, hey, people grow apart. She's just not into being your friend anymore. But there is a real thing in this, and she's trying to save her friend. It's a great story about friendship. It's also really fun because it's set in the 80s. So as a kid of the 80s, this was really fun for me and nostalgic. I love the care that goes into the book. Like, it looks like a yearbook. I love this book so much, and I was so excited for this film. And I feel like the film, despite having really good actors, they've got Elsie Fisher, who's terrific. She was in 8th grade. She was recently in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They got Amaya Miller, who was in House by the Lake. Great people in this, but I feel like the movie missed the point. The movie is, the story is supposed to be about, friendship. And there's a lot of her wondering, maybe her friend isn't her friend anymore. Maybe they are growing apart. And it didn't have any of that. I also didn't get a lot of the chemistry between these two actresses. So yeah, it wasn't as fun as it could have been either. They have Chris Lowell in the end, and he is a really annoying character who's performing this exorcism in the book. They gave him way too much screen time, probably because he's been in Glow and a bunch of other things. But yeah, it just wasn't as fun as it should have been. It didn't have the feels it should have had. It had a couple good scary scenes, especially in the beginning when they go into this creepy house. And initially I had hopes that this was going to deliver. For me, this was just really disappointing. It really missed the mark. I'm not saying it's like a terribly made movie. It's disappointing just because it's really meh. And the book was anything but.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, so I wasn't in that level of disappointment as you were. But I have to agree. I felt like this was an okay movie, made well, good acting. But my big problem with it was I didn't know what it was supposed to be because it has drops tons of F-bombs and some sexual talk, so it's obviously not for kids, but as far as horror goes, it's not a horror movie that's scary for anybody that's over the age of 13. So I don't know. I didn't really know what to go. I thought it was an okay movie. I feel like that Chris Lyle stuff didn't pay off.
It wasn't funny at all. It's funny in the book, but he also doesn't have that big of a part in the book. They just gave him too much. Also, the side characters are so forgettable in the movie. They're actual characters in the book. Yeah. This was such a mess.
Most of the characters were forgettable. I feel like you go through Chris Lau's shtick for a while there, and
Also,
then it doesn't
I
do
understand the
anything.
book was made by a guy, and a guy who actually writes women really well. He did Final Girl Support Group and this. You know, some guys can. I don't know. Maybe Damon Thomas just didn't get it because it just didn't feel like these people got female friendships. The people who made the movie, it lacked that specialness. It lacked that the feels you should have. You know, when you watch a movie like Stand by Me or It or something, you know, that specialness of the friends you have when you're a little kid. And this movie just didn't get it.
I I didn't really have any feeling either way, but that's also like because I didn't get it either. Like I don't know, I didn't have disappointment, but I still didn't
Like I
get
said,
it.
I love the book.
That
So
would make a big
that's
change.
why it was a big miss for me.
I would agree.
You want to check on with your chat?
Yeah,
Pardon me.
let's see. So sad this movie wasn't good because I'm a big fan of Grady Hendrix. Yeah, I mean, Grady Hendrix is a great writer, so I haven't read this book specifically, but I know that they can write. And
You did read Final Girl Support Group.
Yeah, I did. So I know that Grady Hendrix is a good writer, and I don't know. This movie I was just kind of lost on, like shrug emoji, as the kids say these days. Thanks for loving the Christmas sweater, aka Money. Oh, it's someone inside your house. Great. Mediocre movie, Brandon Bell. How long do we get to talk about Amityville Karen? Because
I think the other thing that also made me sad about this is Grady Hendrix makes like his books feel like movies, and this is the first adaptation of any of his books. I know Final Girl Support Group's getting something. They've talked about Horror Store. He's written a number of books, and this is the first adaptation. And it's just like, ugh. Hopefully, the next one's better.
yeah, sometimes a good book in the wrong hands does not make.
Yeah,
good
he
movie.
wrote Satan Loves You. He's written a lot of really great books.
It's not a horror movie, but I probably felt the exact same way when The Life and Death of Bobby Z came out on to a movie because I love that book so much. It's one of my favorite books. The movie was just kind of eh.
Alrighty. What's next for you?
Bring It On, Cheer or Die.
Okay, so this one also made my list. Actually, it didn't. No, yeah, it did. It was my number 3.
Well, let's just talk about it now.
So this is my number 3. It ranked a lot higher on my list of bad than it did for Dan. But let's hear about it, Danny.
It's my number 4, which doesn't matter. Let's just talk about it now. This is ultimately like I thought this was gonna be more fun. Same kind of problem I had with those Christmas movies. It wasn't very fun. Like, I'm not even a big Bring It On person. I think I've seen the first one a long time ago when it first came out and then had a bunch of sequels. And when I heard that they were going to do a horror sequel, I'm like, that sounds at least interesting.
Yeah,
Like, that
it's
could be
such a fun concept.
I didn't expect it to be like a masterpiece cinema, like good movie. I just expected I would at least enjoy and have a fun time with it. I didn't.
Oh, the movie Satanic Panic. I didn't know he wrote the screenplay for that. And Sorority Babes 2 is terrible. I just bought that. That's such a bummer. Hopefully I like it anyway. Yes, Bring It On went horror, Patrick. I think what made me so disappointed about this is Sci-Fi has been killing it for like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
They did Leprechaun Returns, and it's one of the best Leprechaun sequels.
Mm-hmm.
They did Slumber Party Massacre, the remake of that.
That was good.
So good. And so I thought it's in great hands. Yeah. And I thought the idea of a horror sequel to Bring It On was such a great idea. This is not fun. The jokes don't land. It's not funny.
But compared to Leprechaun Returns and Slumber Party Massacre's remake, this looked cheap. And I would be more forgiving of that as long as it was fun, but it really wasn't.
The humor in this was like what you would expect from a Nickelodeon afternoon show, like Zoe 101. Like, it's not funny. I know you can tell they're trying to be funny, but it's not funny.
I have a hard time believing the actors thought their lines and jokes were funny, and that translates pretty well on the screen. When you're people making it, I don't think they believe it, so how are we going to believe it? That's how I felt.
They have a lot of talented people here, too. I think a lot of it might have been direction. I don't know. Someone dropped the ball somewhere. There's also almost no horror in this. The kills were not good.
I can't remember really any of them other than like
very unmemorable, very forgettable killer. You know, they did some things I think were cool, like how they eventually used like their cheerleading things to fight back, but even that could have been a lot better. The other thing I thought was really impressive is just I think it's incredible when people do all that cool flippy cheerleading stuff, and they had a lot of that.
Yeah.
So there's some cool cheerleading stuff in it. But I think just watch her Bring It On movie instead, because this one was a huge miss. It goes on way too long, too. This movie is way too long. How long is this movie? It feels long. 91 minutes. It felt a lot longer.
Yeah. it was hard for me to power through this one. So that's kind of why it's on my list. What's next on yours?
Oof.
Oof.
Big oof.
Big wolf.
Oof. It's all the oofs, Danny. Oof.
Oh, the
Oof. Oh, God. Guys, see, a lot of this is just, it's the disappointment. It's the disappointment. Like, there's something about watching a movie that you know is going to be bad. I think, honestly, the worst movie, like, worst made movie of the year I saw was Sharkula. But it was kind of funny in just that it's so bad. I think what makes me sad is when something could be good and it's just a flop. And the biggest disappointment, I think, of the year for me was Firestarter. Like, I kind of knew what we were getting into when we saw that terrible trailer where she's like, liar, liar, pants on fire. But such a great character, such a great story by Stephen King. This movie is a massive flop. I'm actually really disappointed because Stephen King says he likes this one better. Like, did you not see the original? With Drew Barrymore? It's great. I know he's not a big fan of Keith David, who played the dad. And I will admit, Zac Efron does a great job in this film. He is a very good actor. I don't think Ryan Kira Armstrong did a very good job, though. I know it's hard to get really strong performances from a child actor. She was great in It Chapter 2, but she cannot hold a movie. She's not there yet. I hate shitting on a child actress, but, you know, she's got a lot of time to hone her craft and stuff. But taking her from somebody who's been small parts in movies to making her carry a film is really hard. They also wrote this character terribly. Yeah. We were supposed to be on Charlie's side. Charlie is so put upon in this film. And in this one, they have her killing a cat. Like, what the fuck, movie? That wasn't in the book. Why did you add that in there for no reason? Like, she starts off accidentally doing it, but then she has to, like, put it out of its misery and stuff. And it's horrible. It didn't need to be in the movie. That was completely unnecessary. There were so many wonderful scenes between her and her father that got cut out, but you make up a horrible one to put it in there. I wasn't rooting for her. She seemed like a brat. She is completely unappreciative of her parents, who have sacrificed their entire lives for her, which is a bummer because the two people who play her parents are really good. The opening that showed a little bit more of them in the shop where they get experimented on and they get abilities was good. Unfortunately, everything with Charlie in this movie is garbage. She is not an interesting character. She's a character who's supposed to be likable. She is not remotely likable. I was also excited because Michael Greyeyes, who's a terrific actor, terrific native actor, is playing Rainbird. And one of my complaints of the original is that Rainbird was not played by a native actor. They whitewashed him. Yeah. And he is a great actor, but I don't understand the changes they made to his character. If you've seen this movie, the ending makes zero sense. Yeah. Him and Charlie, he kind of is supposed to be her friend, and then they're at odds. And then if you've seen the movie, now all of a sudden he's going to take care of her. What the actual fuck?
Right. I want to thank Horror Cash. Happy New Year on their super chat. They just appreciate that. Firestarter was next on my list anyways, so might as well get into this crispy critter. For me, they copy-pasted Logan, but then couldn't explain their work. Like, that's all. They just, it's the same story almost beat for beat, where they're on the road, someone's hunting them down, but, you know, superpowers, and it just sucked, though.
You know what I feel like this movie is? It's exactly what I'm always saying about how you get those algorithm movies. They're like, well, the It movies did well. Get a kid from that we can afford. Yeah. They get Ryan Kira Armstrong. She can't do it, okay? She's not there yet. She's a little kid. Give her a break. Not upset with her. It's also really hard to direct children. I think she was fantastic in It Chapter 2. I think this was too much for her. Right. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was all algorithm. They're like, she was in it and let's cast her. Zac Efron's in a lot of stuff. Let's cast him. He actually did a really good job. One of the better parts of the movie. But it's all, how does this movie that had, I believe, a bigger budget than the original, the effects look terrible. It's all CGI. It doesn't look real at all. They had an incredible climactic scene in the original with big fireballs and everything. This one, by comparison, is weak. It's so weak. Isn't the point of doing a remake to do it bigger and better than the original?
It's supposed to be, but sometimes it doesn't, and this one sizzled out quick.
It's like one of those fireworks that you get at the thing and they're like, oh, it's going to be really, really big. It's like a Roman candle, and then it just peters out. That's what this was. This is my big rant one.
Kick and Wing would like this because it's just the snakes and sparklers, where the other one was the big kabooms.
It's just such a bummer because it's such a great story, and you only get so many chances to make a movie of a great story. We had a great movie of it that just needed a little bit of tweaking, I think, like with Rainbird and some of the other things.
There's a few things I was hoping they'd fix,
but the effects and everything are great. Drew Barrymore did a terrific job. I actually think Keith David did a fantastic job, and this movie does not need to exist. No. It's a bummer because, when a movie like this that belongs to a big property or IP like Stephen King flops, then it makes it less likely that we're going to see more from that. And I feel like this was made just because they're like, it did well. Some other Stephen King things have been doing really well. Let's do this and make some easy cash. Yeah. It felt like greedy money men were twirling their mustaches off to the side going, ha ha ha, this is going to make money. But they have no idea how to tell a story.
That little girl being hunted on a road trip with powers, and a lot of the beats matched Logan, but this is like getting Logan on Wish. I didn't like it.
Like Mr. Flixer said, it's a lot like the Pet Sematary remake. Yeah. It's like they're like, we're going to check off all the boxes. We're going to hire people that we think are going to do well, but they missed what made the story great. It's a bummer, guys. It's a huge bummer. I'm really excited this year for Salem's Lot. I've heard that it, from test screenings of the first 15 minutes, it's really great. Really hope it's really good. I really do. Firestarter, though, ugh. This is one I talked about on our last one, how I thought the year started off rough. Yeah. This is one I was looking forward to, and it was such a disappointment.
It didn't even get started. Someone call Smokey the Bear. Ugh. Bury this. Let's pretend it didn't happen. Only you could prevent bad movies.
Thankfully, it was released just to streaming because you know what? I think because it was released just to streaming, a lot of people missed it. You guys didn't miss out on anything if you didn't see it.
All right, I'm gonna bring up The Reef, Stalked. That is my next on this list.
Oof.
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 Now this is a movie I thought might be good because
I feel so bad shitting on movies.
I do too, but so I don't want to do a whole lot of these. But The Reef, unfortunately, because they seemed like they had a pretty decent budget. The shark didn't look too bad a lot of the time, but it made no sense. It was just shark evil because shark evil. And I'm getting kind of tired of that. Like, it didn't... Even in Jaws, though, at least there's some talk of it being weird, and it's, like, abnormally large, and its behavior is talked about it being, okay, that's a little weird. So it's, like, a more of an anomaly. This one, no, it's, like, pretty, if there's a shark out there that's gonna try and kill you no matter what, you should just avoid sharks because they're the devils. And I'm getting so tired of that. You should go check out Eli Roth's Finn. It is amazing. It'll give you a much more better perspective on horror movies. I'm tired of like wolves and sharks and things just being demonized for the sake of it. Unless you give me a good reason, because they get hunted in real life. Like, this puts out a bad taste in my mouth because of that kind of stuff. I'm tired of it.
I agree. I know a lot of people have certain subgenres of film that they just don't like, and that's fine. We can have different opinions. Some people don't like found footage. Some people don't like possession films. I actually like everything. The only subgenre I have an issue with, and it's not that I don't like it, I just have an issue with, is nature attacks creature features. And the problem is because it demonizes an entire species. We see it with tarantulas, which are very docile, very gentle. They don't mean us any harm. They have no reason to hurt us. Sharks really have no interest in us. We are not their prey.
It's the other way around,
they're not what we eat. We are much more dangerous to them. Bears, just so many animals that have been nearly pushed to the brink of extinction, if not extinct. And movies are a big part of that. After Jaws, so many more sharks got killed. And it's because people feel justified because they're villains in a movie. Even before movies, Grimm's Fairy Tales did that with wolves. Yeah. It makes me really, really sad. I think the best ones, one that came out this year was like Beast, where they have a lot of people who understand lions. That was a killer lion movie. And they're like, this isn't right. This isn't normal. This isn't how lions behave.
Right. Something's
wrong here. Or a movie like Cujo, where they're like, Cujo's a very sweet family pet. This isn't normal. Right. But when you make a movie and you basically are working under the assumption that, yes, sharks, they just want to eat you. It's a really dangerous thing to put out there.
They'll straight up stalk you. Even if they just ate your best friend, they're gonna come right after you because that's how ruthless and weird they are. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't even a starving shark. If you give me a good reason, I'm for a beast movie if there's a good motive in a sense or a reason, or at least they explain that hey, this isn't normal behavior for the creature. Then fine. Like Prophecy, I love that. That's a crazy killer bear movie that I love. But
Animals are just like us. And if you gave me an option of a cheeseburger that's sitting on a plate and a cheeseburger that's going to hit me and kick at me and scratch at me, I'm going to go with the one on the plate. That's how animals are. They don't want to go after people because we have weapons and tools and we're just so much more complicated. And we're not easily accessible and we're way too big for most animals to want to eat. But these movies, they're just putting out really bad information.
this movie was also just a pain to watch for a lot of reasons. I wasn't rooting really for anybody. I don't get what was going on. One of the girls, her sister was murdered in a bathtub, but for some reason she keeps getting this flashback where she sees what her sister
From
saw.
the point of view of the sister.
It's like what?
That's lazy.
It's just,
lazy.
Exactly. There's not going on here that was worth it. I've seen a lot of good shark movies I like. Like we were talking about 47 Meters Down. I like that
47 Meters Down was great.
but it was more danger because of the situation, not just because there was a shark. There was sharks being chummed, and therefore they were kind of in a frenzy.
You know, like movies like even Open Water are good. If you are injured and you're out in their territory and you're easy prey because you're injured and you're bleeding, you've caught their attention. Yes, you are kind of fucked right now.
Yeah.
They're not. It's nothing personal. They're not going to go stalk your wife like in Jaws 2.
Yeah, or
It's just
Jaws 4.
they
but
got to
still.
eat. You know, it's absolutely nothing personal. I think there's some great creature features.
Yeah.
You know, or even movies like Crawl, like where those crocodiles are put in situations very unusual to them. There's a big flood. You know, animals get really freaked out and stuff too, and they're more likely to attack, just like we're more likely to attack when we're, you know, put in stressful situations. I think there's some great ones out there. So I'm not criticizing the subgenre as a whole, because there's some great ones. It's just unfortunately there's a lot of really bad ones, and not just bad, but I would say dangerous, because I don't like what happens to real life animals because of movies like this.
Exactly, and I feel like this one has had enough budget to be, in a sense, realistically grounded, but it's just so not how a shark would behave in real life. So it's dangerous in that way. Some of them, like virus shark and stuff, they're obviously like not real, and they don't cause a danger to people like that. But this one does. And
There's also, I think, from my experience of looking at movies that are based on a true story, you see a lot more of that with creature features, and they're not as based on a true story as they would like you to believe. Anaconda's another one, Mr. Flickster. That anaconda isn't even possible. Anacondas are really, really big, really heavy animals. They can't slither down like that. They don't have the muscle capacity to do so. They are not hateful animals. They just actually there's
was Ice Cube in that movie, or was it Ice T? I don't know.
One of them, but yeah, Anaconda. No.
I'm not a big fan of that one either. The only thing I liked about Anaconda is I went and saw it in the theater, and me and my friends, and then for some reason the whole power went off in the building, and we were just sitting in the dark with a bunch of random strangers in the big theater room, and we were like screaming, it's by my legs, and like some kids were like crying. But the movie itself was boring to me.
There's a YouTube channel where he talks about how snakes and reptiles are depicted in movies and stuff. And that's one of the ones he commented on. I wish I could remember it right now, but like Craig's Critters or whatever. He does that one where he like reviews like how good each reptile would be as a pet. Anyway, he did a really good one on that.
But as budget and effects go, I'm not really shitting on this one. I feel like just the way the movie was made and the writing and stuff is just lazy. And that's my...
Yeah, the sharks didn't look too bad.
It didn't look too bad, but...
Oh, it's Ice Cube.
The story was pretty lazy, and, like, just filming, like, how she sees through the point of view. It's because they didn't want to, like, try harder. Like, they could have written a better script. The actors were fine enough, but they weren't given anything to have my interest.
I know... It's just something that kind of annoys me. It's really... We're seeing more female directors and writers, than before, but we still have a long way to go. You have a whole entire cast of women who are friends. The main relationship at this is sisters.
Yeah.
Why wasn't this directed by a woman? I mean,
it probably would have been a little more.
I feel like a woman's going to get this a little bit better. I'm not saying that there aren't men who've directed great movies about women, but that's an opportunity for a female director to get a job and, they're probably going to understand the source material a little bit better.
Yeah, and I felt like whoever directed it, maybe it wasn't a gender thing, they didn't seem to care much about their characters, and
They didn't.
the writer as well, because
It's
like,
written and directed by the same guy.
the writing as well, because oh, my sister's not that great at the paddling of the kayaking, so we should keep an eye on her. 2 seconds later, they just leave her there, and of course a shark picks her off, and they're like, oh my god, she's not with us. Like, I don't know, it's just not consistent. Like,
Again, I'm not saying like, S.E. Helton wrote one of the best stories about teenage boys with The Outsiders. There's tons of men who've written great stories about women, but especially with these low budget ones like this, it's just like that's an opportunity to give a group of people who aren't normally put up for jobs to shine,
and as a
give them an opportunity.
exactly, and like even Jaws and some of the bigger ones, like they give that shark like it is like a possessed, it's the devil bear, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This one's not. This one is like, this is a normal shark. However, there's these kids on a dock. This shark is so crazy and it just ate a bunch of people. It's gonna destroy that dock to eat these kids. Like, try to anyways. And I'm like, no, that's not how real sharks. It tries to be grounded, and it also tries to be not grounded at the same time.
It's written and directed by the same guy, so I'm assuming it's probably his idea, so it probably wasn't available to other people. But then my suggestion would be write what you know. I don't
Right.
feel like you know a lot, at least from seeing your movie, about female friendships and sisters. So
Or sharks.
or sharks.
You don't seem to know a lot about any of these
Uh,
things. Not to be a dick.
Maybe make characters that are based on people that you actually understand, because you're just not getting it, my dude.
Anyways, we should move on.
I hate shitting on movies,
I
dude.
know.
It's hurting my heart. But
This
yeah.
is our revenge in a sense, because these ones hurt our heart.
They hurt my heart. They did. So my next one was Bring It On. So I'm gonna off. Oh god, it's like indigestion, guys. It's hard for me to like remember these. This one, I hate to say it, fucking dash cam, guys. I know some people actually really like it, and I talk a lot about on my channel, I've talked about it on your channel, I like people who take the big swings. Unfortunately, this is the problem with taking a big swing. It can miss, and I have massive respect for taking that swing regardless, but for me, Rob Savage took a big swing with dash cam, and it, for me, missed. If it didn't miss for you, I'm really happy for you.
Brandon Bennett.
I didn't enjoy it.
Brandon Bennett, here we go. He's like,
And here's the thing, I also talk about how our enjoyment of a movie is just one small part of it. And so, yes, the fact that this movie was painful to watch, I'm going to put that aside and just talk about the quality of this movie. Some positives. There are some really creepy scenes in there. There's at one point a body comes up out of the water. That's really cool. But the storytelling in this is garbage. And I feel like Rob Savage, you can do better.
Yes.
You have done better. So what were you doing here? As Jedi, Amanda the Jedi put it, it feels like someone was sitting there going like an improv type thing. They're like, and then this happened, and then this happened. There is no thorough through story. It's a bunch of almost unrelated set pieces tied together, but there's really no explanation for it. It's like, now we're going to go to this location, and now we're going to go to this location. There's not a whole lot of story here, which is really frustrating because they have kind of a cool creature, but they don't do anything with it. However, I would say that like one of the things I found really interesting was the old woman that is found towards the beginning of the movie. There's some interesting stuff there, and there's some interesting stuff with the old woman's mother that is introduced later on. Not a whole lot's done with that. There's some cool gore and stuff, but when the story doesn't work, it's really hard to get invested in that part of it. However, I've been putting this off. I'm going to say the worst part of this movie is your main character. Nothing against Annie Hardy. I know she's getting a lot of hate for this on social media, and that makes me really sad because she's explained, even though it has her name, and it was based a lot on her. She's an influencer and she's in a band. It's based a lot on her real life, but it's not her. Yeah. And I absolutely hated this character, which is fine. I don't need to like your characters. Your character does need to work for the movie. This is the most obnoxious fucking character ever, and it doesn't make any sense. She is outwardly aggressive and rude to everyone she's around. So she goes to her friend's house. I think she punches him in the face, And I get it. They have kind of a different friendship and he accepts her for who she is. She's left America and gone to England because she can't handle um, all the conservatives telling her to wear a mask and stuff.
She gets there and they're doing it there too. So
she's awful. She is awful. She's just unnecessarily aggressive to everyone. And I did like that early on his girlfriend is like, yeah, get her ass out of here. But I couldn't understand why her friend stuck with her. She's horrible to him. She's horrible to everybody. And again, I would have allowed it because sometimes, I know Rob Savage said he intentionally made her awful because not characters don't always need to be likable. We need to be challenged.
I agree. There's plenty of
fair
movies to do
enough.
that, I like them.
But you need to have the characters around that character respond in a way that makes sense. Nobody would put up with this girl, especially in a life or death situation. You would not risk your life for this person. This person is fucking horrible. And I cannot see anybody tolerating her or risking their life for her like this poor guy does in this movie. On top of that, I think you need to think about your audience. So not only are the other characters forced to endure this character who is just terrible, we are, as an audience, we're forced to hang out with this person for 80 minutes. And it felt long. And I think, for me anyway, I would have been okay with her being absolutely awful if she got hers in the end. I kept thinking they're putting it off because they're going to give her the best, grisliest death. The way this movie ends, it had no understanding of its audience because the way it ends, it's like it thinks that we're like, yeah, she made it. I don't think anybody who watched this movie was excited that she made it. And I really don't care that I'm spoiling it because this movie was awful. This movie seemed to think that we were on her side by the way it ends, by the tone of the way it ends. And I wasn't. I was really pissed off that she survived. And that was the final nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah. I hated her.
Oh, that's right. She spit on him, Fairpoint Station.
Spits in her hand and then slaps him.
Ah!
She also steals his car. She also, ruins his...
She's awful!
She goes with him to work and, basically ruins his whole job for him and gets him in trouble. She is...
Hey, there's someone we haven't seen in a long time. Given Up 96.
Hey, Given Up? How you been, man? Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while. But, yeah, she's just completely awful throughout the whole thing. And I'm thinking that there's going to be some comeuppance. But not only does she not get a comeuppance, there's not really even answers to this weird story that's happening.
Yeah.
Because, she gets to this cult, which would be interesting if we knew more about it. But you just get it for a scene, and it's just to have the scene. But that's it. You don't get any explanation. You don't even it doesn't even make sense that you're getting this scene. Out of context, the scene doesn't make any sense if you really think about it. It was just for visual appeal. There is some good visuals. That's about all I can say. It's called dash cam, even though she's not really using a dash cam.
It's called band something, and I did like that. Her freestyling, someone mentioned in the names and stuff. That's what she does on her show. I think that's really cool, and I think they could have done more stuff with that to show why she has a following. Because I also couldn't understand why this character, not Annie Hardy, she seems like an all right person in real life. I don't really know her, but I couldn't understand why this character would have a social media following. Right. Or at least I couldn't understand why they wouldn't have gotten canceled. The things she's saying on her channel, yeah, it's going to attract some awful people who are going to root for her, but it's also going to attract a lot of people who are going to want to shut that down.
Either way, it's the reason why I wouldn't follow that.
And but Rob Savage, I just want to say one thing really quick. Rob Savage said that the point of making her so awful is to show that we don't get to choose the people in our environment and stuff. And unfortunately, we have to live with some people who are not likable. And yet you have a character who's incapable of doing that. She leaves the country because she cannot handle mask regulations. She is welcomed to her friend's home, and then she steals his car because his girlfriend doesn't like the fact that she's being really horrible to them. Yeah. This character doesn't get what you're trying to say is the point of creating that character. So, it doesn't work, my dude. It does not work.
She only even gets roped into the plot because someone is desperate enough to give her a lot of money to do it. That's the only reason why she helps anybody is for her own gain.
Here's how I think it could have worked. Because I don't believe that anybody sees themselves as an asshole. Even if you are an asshole. Yeah. And even some of the most awful people are capable of good stuff. I mean, people are not black and white. This character is awful from beginning to end. She doesn't do anything at all that makes her human. I think having this awful character, but maybe having her Like, she has an opportunity to apologize to the guy's girlfriend after a whole bunch of shit's happened. Maybe have her apologize. Maybe have her see that she at least did something wrong. Or maybe have her, do something heroic. Show that she's complicated. She's not just an asshole. That even though she's this really unlikable person, even really crappy people are human. And just making her a little more complicated, give her a little more depth. She is such a caricature. It's impossible to buy this as a real human being.
Yeah, like maybe even have just an epiphany, because she's talking to her audience the whole time as they're watching on her dash cam, which really is her phone. Another reason why I don't like this, because it's not even an actual dash cam. But she doesn't ever. She's like never apologized. Even like when she thinks the end is near, she's just like, yeah, I don't care. Fuck everyone.
And this could have been an opportunity. The events in this movie could have taught her like a lesson or something. Like she could have grown from this. She doesn't. She doesn't learn anything. She doesn't grow. She doesn't want anything either. Things happen to her, which is terrible storytelling. No. She doesn't want anything that's pushing the story forward. She's not a protagonist, because a protagonist makes decisions that push the story forward.
No.
Things happen to her.
Yeah. She just walks into situations and deuces the whole way, I guess, and that's fine, I guess, but there's no arc to her at all. And yeah, AK Money says Spree does it better. I agree.
Absolutely. He's not a very likable guy, but he's human and you get him. It's okay that you don't like him. You get him. I didn't get this character.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get her motivations or anything about her. Didn't like her.
I don't need her to be her best friend, but I need to understand that she's a human being in order for me to invest in this story.
Yeah, I didn't invest in her at all. I just was annoyed that I got stuck with her. But another reason why I don't like this movie is because we watched the wrong dash cam before we watched this one. Oh my gosh!
There were 2 dash cam movies that came out in the same year.
And we watched that one first. Actually does have dash cam footage.
It does.
It's not a great movie. It's better than this.
But we were like, when does the horror happen?
It's more of a
it's not a horror movie.
Mystery.
We were so confused.
It wasn't that good itself. And I was like, oh, that's dash cam, huh? But oh, wait, no. This is dash cam, and it was even worse. So I had to watch them back to back. And it was a bad day. It was a really bad day.
The other one was just kind of mediocre. This one was painful to get through. But yeah, like for wasting my time, this one shouldn't have been called dash cam. There is no dash cam footage in this. She has her phone on her that she is live streaming from. Her show is called like Band Cam or something like that. Band something. They should have called the movie that. There was no reason for this movie to be called Dash Cam. And there's a lot of movies, there's a history of movies having their titles changed because there are other movies that exist with that title. Like, Child's Play was originally Batteries Not Included. Mm-hmm. Steven Spielberg had a movie already in production called that. The title was changed. The fact that there was another movie called Dash Cam this year, that's just a huge oversight from both movies.
Yeah, Brandon Bellum said he was like kind of doing the same thing. But yeah, I sat through that meh movie, not in a good mood, until I find out seconds later, oh, we watched the wrong movie. Now we gotta watch this, and it's even worse. Oh man, that just
the pain.
Lots of pain.
The pain. We suffered.
This was like probably the worst night of
We
horror.
had to have a good cuddle afterwards. We were just crying, and it's just time we're never gonna get back, guys. We're never gonna get it back.
Well, it seems like we have the same number one anyways. Let's jump into it.
This has not been, I mean, I'm sorry. I appreciate you inviting me here and everything, Dan, but this has not been an enjoyable stream. It's bringing back a lot of memories.
Before that, though, any honorable mentions you want to bring out real quick?
Oh, honey. This is like the sassiest I've ever been. Honorable mentions were a lot of the Christmas ones you mentioned. Sharkula, it's awful, but there's a shark that has bat wings. And for that, it doesn't make my list.
Yeah, that's my honorable mention as well.
Obviously, Killing Tree, Weredeer, The Reef Stalk are honorable mentions. Morbius, I don't know how much of a horror movie you guys consider it to be, but that was absolutely an algorithm moneymaker type movie. It's just soulless trash. It did not deserve the theatrical release it got. Choose or Die was really disappointing. Spirit Halloween was just weird. It was tonally strange. It just didn't work for me. So those are my honorable mentions.
Spirit Halloween, my biggest problem with it is the weird little sprite that I didn't need that was the spirit. Like, I could have got that Christopher Lloyd was jumping from things from body to body, like the animatronics. I didn't need the weird looking Zelda fairy sprite. just it just looked really bad, and I didn't need that. Um, yeah, Sharkula. That was an honorable mention for me. It's probably one of the lowest things I've rated on my list, but it's not on here so much because it had a little charm. It is the most
It had
inept.
charm.
It's the most inept movie I saw of the thing. Like a
The
technical
least
standard.
competent.
Yeah, like out of a technical standard, it was probably the worst movie I saw. But instead of a CGI shark, they had a cool little bat puppet shark with bat wings. I liked that.
It made me laugh.
The movie is bad, like color and sound and everything. Like you can hardly hear what they're saying, and it's like really bad noise. It's shot for day for night a lot of the times, and it looks so bad.
And that's something to keep in mind. When I go see something like Morbius, it's got a theatrical release. They've got very expensive performers like Jared Leto. My expectations are going to be more here.
Yeah.
You've got that Marvel money in here. I expect you to deliver the amount of money, on screen that you spent on it.
Yeah.
It's garbage. So that makes it a much bigger disappointment.
Yeah.
Something like Sharkula that was made by rubbing two pennies together.
Right.
It made me laugh, which is way more than I expected to enjoy that movie. And so, yeah, I'm a lot more forgiving of a low budget film or a film that doesn't have those kind of resources. But when a movie is gifted with a lot of resources that indie filmmakers would love to have and they just blow it, it's so disappointing.
But yeah, that's the thing. Sharkula might have been on a technical standard the worst movie I saw of the year. But I actually kind of liked it. And it has that cool song. Sharkula. Sharkula. I don't know. I kind of liked it, even though it's really bad.
It was kind of like, what's his name? Richard Cheese.
Yeah, and I applaud them for going with the practical effects of a bat shark puppet. So much better than those other no budget shark movies that we were talking about earlier, where it's like they do a really bad CGI that looks like it was like a screensaver on a phone, like back when we had flip phones, and it's clearly not anywhere near the actors. And they're like, oh, a shark over there somewhere maybe. It was actually a lot better than those ones, just because it was fun. But yeah, not made well. Anything else? I think you just mentioned Morbius. It was just bland as hell for me. Horror Doctor Strange and stuff was really good, like in the horror aspects. Yeah. Anyways, let's get to our number one.
Here it is.
Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Now I have to say the opening scene.
At first, I didn't get the hate.
Yeah.
I didn't get the hate at all because everyone was like, "This is the worst thing of the year," and I'm like,
Really?
But is it though? Is it? So we were watching it, and it's decently made, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's got Dee Wallace in it. I love Dee Wallace. And so we were skeptical. We were like, really, guys? It's not that bad.
Yeah, the opening scene is almost shot for shot what goes on with Justin Long in the very beginning of that Jeepers Creepers movie, where they get chased around by the truck, and then they get the body get dumped down the thing. And it's Dee Wallace instead. And I honestly would love to see more horror movies replaced with Dee Wallace instead of some meddling kids.
Yeah.
Like, just take out the meddling kids and reshoot some more horror movies with just Dee Wallace, because I love her. That was actually a good start, but then you find out that that's just kind of a film or a TV adaptation of what might have happened.
Doesn't really make a lot of sense when you think about it.
Yeah, apparently the other Jeepers Creepers movies were film adaptations of a real legend.
So there is a real legend of the creeper. But this movie here's what's really frustrating about this. When I heard the concept of this film, obviously there's a lot of controversy surrounding Victor Salva. He's a horrible, horrible person. Yeah. And a lot of people, if they enjoy his movies regardless, I think that's fine. You can separate the art from the artist, and a lot of other people other than him worked on these films. So I totally understand those people. I also understand the people who do not want to put money into anything that he's touched because he doesn't deserve to be rewarded because he is a garbage person. And I get that side of it too. I'm really not taking a side on it. But I thought it was kind of cool that a different creator was going to tackle this franchise that does have a following and, take it away from him and maybe do something different with it. Which is cool because I guess the only problem I have with it is that it came out of the mind of somebody who's just that gross. And I really don't want to be in that person's mind. Again, if you love those movies, no shade towards you. So I was kind of on board with that. And it seemed from the interviews I read that they had the best intentions. But this movie is the laziest shit I have ever fucking seen. This is every bit one of those algorithm movies. It's just, it looked like, it's the kind of the equivalent of like giving somebody an assignment and they did the bare minimum. This movie doesn't show any love for filmmaking in it. There are a few actual shots in this that are kind of decent and stuff, but mostly this is lazy. This is so lazy. The creeper looks terrible.
Yeah. The sets look usually really terrible. There's a couple parts, like you said, they look okay, but for every little good part you see this bland, like green screen, cheap looking set where the creeper is on it, and he looks awful, and it just none of it
They
looks good.
abused the green screen so much, and towards the end there, almost all of it's green screen.
Hmm.
At the inside of the house, the walls are green screen. When they
Yeah.
go outside, it looks almost like a video game. It's so badly composed. It's really terrible. The people who are in this movie don't look like they're having any kind of fun. There's a couple things I liked. I mean, I did like the cosplay montage where she ends up deciding on Jennifer's body. Like, there's a couple things I enjoyed about this. It's not an entire. There are aspects of this movie that are okay, but it's a bummer because yeah, they're not going to trust anyone to make any more of these movies, and I don't think Victor Salva is going to be getting any money to make any more of these anytime soon. So, unfortunately, a interesting villain and a potential franchise is now dead in the water because these people just phoned in this assignment.
Yeah. Should have just stuck with the shot for shot with D-Walls. That would have been better.
It would have been a lot better. I mean, and there are people who have been involved in this project who are really passionate about it. I can't remember the name of the girl who played the sister, but I know she's very invested in it. There are people who were really passionate about this franchise that are not Victor Salva that they could have passed it on to. Instead, they gave it to this Sky Sharks guy who's totally, obviously not into it. He doesn't seem that into it at all. I know he's got some talent because I've seen his other films. He phoned this in, and it's killed the franchise, which is just a bummer. Now, I know one of the other problems they had is it was made during COVID. Yeah. Here's a big problem with this film. It's really one overly trying to promote Horror Hound, but if I was Horror Hound, I wouldn't want my name on this because it's supposed to be a horror convention. I think there's 10 people at this convention. It doesn't look like a convention. It doesn't even look like it could be a carnival. And it's because I couldn't get a lot of people in it. I think that's the time to go back to the script and rewrite it. If you cannot have that many people close together to do a convention, maybe don't have a horror convention in your script. It doesn't work. They could have had them go out camping or something in this area. But it being a convention was completely unbelievable. Anyone who's ever gone to a convention knows there's a lot more than 10 people scattered around. Just the production design was also really, really lazy. On top of there not being that many people, you could have maybe excused that for it's later in the day. A lot of people have gone home. But it looked really bad. It did not look like a convention.
I was confused because when she was doing her cosplay montage, I was like, oh, they're going to a convention. You get there, it's weird, like hootenanny out in the weirdness with haze and kind of carnival games, but no rides. And I'm like, what? And then they're like, okay, now everybody do the cosplay competition. And apparently they all dressed up like the one character. And none of them looked good. And then like, all right, well, you win, so you get to go on this weird trip to the creeper's house or something. It was just a mess. Like, I didn't even understand.
The
like,
story
why.
is such a mess. Like, she's
Exactly.
pregnant and stuff, and it's kind of interesting that she's having visions, but where it goes is ridiculous. The writing in this is so cringe. How do you like them peepers? Oh,
How do you like them peepers?
Oh, God. That's
I forgot
awful.
about that too.
It's so bad. It's so cringe. It's so cringe. It's so much cringe. Horror Hound, seriously, I've never been to one of their conventions. I never will now. If this is your advertisement for your convention, I'll save my money and not go. I'm sure it's actually a lot cooler than it is depicted in this movie, but the movie feels soulless.
Cheap and soulless.
It feels so soulless. We go to Crypticon every year, and I know they wouldn't put their name on this.
It has a bigger budget than some of the things we talked about earlier on this list, but it just felt cheap and like cashed in, like phoned in completely. Let's go to the chat real quick.
What Ben said, the new song. Oh, so much cringe. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment watching this movie. Somebody, a lot of somebodies, stood in front of cameras, behind cameras, spent their day filming these scenes. And like, I'm just embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed that you saw this footage, you saw these dailies, and you thought that this was worth people giving up their money to see. I am embarrassed for you. You made a bad decision.
It's like maybe could have passed as a fan film on YouTube or something, but not
as a
an
fan
actual
film,
movie.
As a YouTube thing, fine. I'd be like, okay, that's pretty good for you. But this is something that people are actually asking people to hand over their hard-earned money for. And that, in addition to making me embarrassed for these filmmakers, it makes me angry. So, I mean, it's so lazy and it's so soulish. I would never watch anything by Timo Baron Swalla or whatever the fuck his name is. You know what? I'm gonna put the same amount of effort into pronouncing your name that you put into making this movie.
Yeah, I want to hit up the chat real quick. Giving up.
Sorry.
It's fine. Giving up 99 said VHS 99 was a surprise hit for him. We talked about that on Gories. We gave it an honorable mention. It was really good.
We just did the best of the year over on my channel, Gory B Movies. If you guys want to hear us not be total assholes and shit on stuff, you can go check out that stream.
Wounded Fawn sucked. I do.
We saw that one.
Yeah,
that was the one that was really trippy. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it though either.
I was a little confused
trippy.
by
Like
it.
it feels like they had a lot of messages in there, but they didn't quite resonate with me. Though I think the visuals were incredible.
I didn't hate it, but I was just kind of confused by it. The Good Madame, I don't think I saw that.
Didn't see it.
Morbius, trash. Jurassic World number 3 was garbage for Ariel.
I
liked it, but I can understand. Ben Grimm hated Shark Hill, wanted to be so good. I didn't want to even watch it, so I guess I liked it a little more than I thought I would. I actually made our friend Rich from Horror Movie Massacre come over. We saved it to watch it with him because he made us watch Virus Shark the first time he was over.
No, he didn't. He made us watch Shark Exorcist.
Oh yeah, Shark Exorcist. Yeah, but either way, we kind of like pick on each other.
It was
shark
revenge.
Movies. It was revenge, but I actually liked it more than I thought I would. It's like the lowest thing rated on my list though. Giving up. I skipped Spirit Halloween because I chose Stick Good Ghouls to go bad. Yeah, he didn't miss much. Brandon Bedlam, Spirit Halloween could have been Willy's Wonderland for kids. Could have been. I was hoping for more. It wasn't very good.
The tone was off in some places. Like some places it took itself really seriously. Some places it was more cartoony. It should have gone for more of like a Hocus Pocus type tone overall.
Yeah, like it would have made better with that kind of Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark vibe. But it didn't have that all the time. It had it some of the time.
The kids were good in it though.
Yeah, they weren't that bad. And Christopher Lloyd, I love that guy.
Who doesn't love him?
Regardless, it was all over the place. First 10 minutes, oh yeah. Ben Grimm Reborn reminds me of those bad straight-to-DVD 2000 sequels everyone hates. Yeah, it was bad, like those movies. Wrong Turn 4 and stuff.
And honestly, this is one of those rare movies where, like, I don't expect a lot. I don't expect movie makers to dance for me and entertain me, because filmmaking is about so much more than just my entertainment. But this is one of those rare movies where I'm so annoyed that I wasted my time watching it. I feel like the filmmakers owe me money.
Right. Sometimes. That's usually when I'll go on a rant and make a rant review. Yes, giving up 96 is the CGI final act. Oh, I'm sure RLJ will continue to make them. Yeah.
And see, that's the, like, if they care so little about making this, why waste the time of the people who are in it? Why waste the time of the people who are going to see it? It is a popular IP, so people are going to watch it no matter how low budget it is. It's like, you would have done more good by just not releasing it.
I feel like it's getting into those Hellraiser sequels at this point, where it's like the franchise, let it die or just restart it. And even though this is supposed to be a reboot, let this reboot die.
Yeah, it felt like it was made just to keep the rights. I'm not sure what the deal is going on with the rights, but this should have just been left on the cutting room floor.
If they couldn't do it during COVID, they should have just waited. There's no reason to pump it out unless that was the reason.
Or rewrite it to where it worked. Like, they could have done it where they're going to go camp out in the area where the creeper's supposed to be. It also, as a creeper movie, it doesn't fit the mythology at all. Like, you know, the kind of the cool thing is he's always replacing his parts. He has an established personality.
Yeah.
Those movies have a very interesting tone that kind of mixes a little bit of comedy and stuff. This movie doesn't fit that franchise at all.
Right. And I think later on there's like these newspaper clippings and you see Dee Wallace again, even though she was in a reenactment, so why is that there?
It doesn't make sense.
Like, it's just lazy. Just throwing some shit on there. Yeah. Anyways, let's see, Brandon Bloom. I think it had one character wear a Bannon, and that's a callback to the original.
Hey, Horror Collector Fiend's here.
I kind of liked how they were throwing his things at the carnival, but once again, I didn't get what the carnival.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of horror
Whatever was
conventions. There's never been carnival games.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were at. Like, it just didn't make sense. It wasn't a convention, I'll tell you that much. The worst thing was the new song, as Ben Grimm highlighted that earlier. Yeah, Zach Bird, aka Canadian Jason. Check out his video for Weird Animal. He's in a band.
Oh yeah,
called
we're in a
Scorpion
music
in
video.
Love. We're in his video called Scorpion in Love. I play Scorpion, and I'm trying to win Gory's heart, but
I'm just not having it.
Jean-Claude Van Damme keeps trying to kick my ass. It's awesome.
I'm
So,
loyal to my Danny. I don't got time for no scorpion.
yeah, he says it's clearly a cash grab, and yeah, I don't know what money they made off of it, but they certainly were stingy on putting it in the production.
Uh oh.
He made the Iron Sky movies.
That's it. Iron Sky. There
I
you
kind of
go.
liked the Iron Sky movies a lot more than this, anyways. Tom Green was in the second one of those. He had like a phone that could blow people up. It was funny.
Cool.
Ben Grimm, Curse of the Bridge Hollow was a better version of Spirit Halloween. Hollow decorations come to life. I haven't seen that, but I will check it out, Ben. Brandon Bedlam, I didn't even pay to watch Jeepers Creepers Reborn, and I felt like it should have given me my time back.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your time is money. You know, it's
Exactly.
valuable. You could have been spending that watching another movie or something. And usually, from any movie experience, because I know at least somebody cared about it, I feel like I got something from it.
Mhm.
Something. Very rarely do I come away from a movie and I feel like I got nothing from it. And even more rarely do I feel like I lost watching it. And this movie, I feel like I lost. I feel like I wasted my time. I feel like it did me dirty.
I guess Giving Up 96 says the D Wallace stuff is based on an Unsolved Mysteries episode Victor Salva based the Keeper
And
from.
I
That's
liked
cool.
that
That's
it was
kinda
kind
cool.
of like that.
But,
Like the unsolved.
yeah.
I'm trying to find that weird animal video.
But imagine D Wallace in some of these other movies. Like, okay, Cabin Fever remake is awful because it's just beat for beat the same movie, like shot for shot, with just different people playing the characters. And now they have smartphones. Wouldn't that have been great though if it was D Wallace in the remake of Cabin Fever?
All right, here I got you the link for Scorpion in Love, the music video that Danny and I are in, and it's got a Canadian Jason in the band, so that's pretty cool.
But yeah, if you're gonna make your remake, shot for shot, put D Wallace in it, and then stick with that.
So yeah, I like Dee Wallace. I don't know how they got her into this. She is a saint. There's, like I said, a couple shots that are okay, but considering that this is a popular IP, and I think IPs deserve a little respect because they have a fan base who's going to see it no matter what, and there's people who are dedicated to that. I think you owe your fans a little bit more than what you delivered on this movie.
Yeah, it got into some of those really bad Hellraiser territories.
Yeah,
and that's a shame because I didn't want Hellraiser to ever be in that situation. I wouldn't want any
Hellraiser made a comeback this year, though.
Exactly, like I said, that was a better reborn than this. That's for sure. All right, well, I'm done crapping on horror movies. We had to really scrape the barrel though, because overall, I think it was a really good year.
Now let's end it on a positive note. I honestly, we didn't even have a top 10 each because.
No.
I mean, not everything wowed us or was, really resonated with us, but, a lot of it, like you could tell it had value, even if it didn't connect with us necessarily. There's a lot of movies people really loved, and maybe we didn't love them as much, but they were special in their own way, and we respected them.
Yeah.
And there's tons of movies that impressed us and were enriching and fulfilling and entertaining and all of the things and inspiring. There's very few movies that really just did us dirty.
Yeah, like if you're going by especially like letterbox ratings, it's really easy to get like 3 stars out of me. That's where most of my movies will fall. You have to do a little more to get higher, but you have to really mess up to get lower.
Yeah, I very rarely give out 1 or half a star on anything.
Yeah.
So you gotta really do us dirty.
Yeah. And
Even though we spent this last hour crapping on movies, which I hate to do. I hate to do that, guys. I really like to be on the side of horror. I like to champion even the most low budget movies, but
but
I
hey,
could not do that with these.
we just did that for a little over an hour on your channel, saying how great a lot of horror movies
Yes,
were. So make sure you go check that out.
So much more good than there were bad.
Yes.
So much more. And so many just really creative films and indie films and foreign films, and just a nice mixture of movies that belong to IPs, movies that were original ideas. Such an exciting year for horror movies.
Right. And we filmed a movie last year, and it'll be available sometime this year. It's a short film, but it was good. All right. Let's see. Zach Bird. Yes, he does very tight over what? Missing some stuff there. But
they were talking about his denim overalls.
Oh.
Kenny using his denim coveralls.
Yes, he does. Very tight overall.
Very tight coveralls.
We showed that to Adrienne King from Friday the 13th, and she laughed. She thought it was hilarious. So they're talking about Canadian Jason, one of my short films, but more of a silly one called Friday the 13th Part A. It's a Canadian Jason movie. You can go find here on this channel. All right, well, that's enough. 2023. I'm
I
looking.
got a couple questions here.
Oh, let's see. Is your movie gonna be at Crypticon? I would love for it to be, but I can't guarantee that. I'm gonna try and get it in there at some point. Uh, it'll definitely be available at some point.
And Brandon, I don't think we read enough books to do a good one. I'm also really behind. I'm not entirely sure of like which ones came out this last year. My Heart is a Chainsaw is a really good one. I think that was out last year. Nightmare Maven is a great place to go if you want to get up on like the latest books and stuff. She's going to cover it probably a lot better than we would. But there will be a Best Book of the Year award during the Oscars.
And I admit that I did not read the Final Girl support group until after it won that last year. And I checked it out, and it was definitely a really good book. So,
though I would say my favorite book of the year has been Reign of Chucky, which is a behind the scenes book. It's really, really good. I think it's Dustin McNeil who wrote it. You can find it on Amazon. It's awesome.
I don't know if it came out at the end of last year or the very beginning of this year, but I loved Elvira's book. And going with Charles Band's The Puppet Master book. That's what I'm reading right now. So
Awesome.
those are both good. I did a book haul very recently on my channel too. So
Yeah,
just
you did.
Scroll down. There's some good ideas in there. All right, well, anything you're gonna have on your channel soon? You want to plug?
I'm probably going to do most anticipated. I think I was going to do it Sunday. I might move it up to Wednesday. We've got some fight nights coming up. We got Killer Dolls. We got Universal Monsters battling it out on fight night. Sunday on Gory B Movie. And then I'm also finally getting back into making actual videos in addition to live streams. So I've got some really cool stuff planned. Going to do a real versus real on Cocaine Bear and some other fun things.
I'm going to try and get a full moon review up this month. I also got some unboxings that we filmed I need to get up. And this Wednesday, I'm going to be at AEW, so that's going to be fucking awesome. Watch for me. I will be on the opposite end of the hard cam, so the camera that shows the ring.
With Movie Massacre.
Movie Massacre, me and him will be on there, and we're like in row 5 on the other side of the ring, so we should be on TV almost the entire time. It'll be pretty awesome. Thanks for the tickets. Those are awesome Christmas gift. Anyways, see you guys around.
Cut.